Welcome to Dan ARG YouTube. The Comrade Show, they talk about the problem wey dey for PDP for Edo State, wey concern the Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki, the Deputy Governor Philip Shaibu, and Chief Dan Obi. Make I leave you now, make you hear from the Comrade Show.
I am not going to leave PDP for anybody. Anybody who cannot accept my leadership of PDP in Edo State will leave PDP for us. It's as simple as that.
Yes, my people, greetings to you all. Nawasha. I salute everybody. My name is Comrade Lamti Oreahi, and of course, I'm doing this broadcast in my capacity as Comrade Lamti Oreahi, and this is the Comrade Show. This is part of my Comrade Show, what's it called, Hard Gist. And I'm making this broadcast because, honestly, I have received quite a number of calls today. People calling me from different parts of the diaspora. I think the last one I received was from Italy. Trying to understand what is happening in Edo State. The political environment in the Edo State is getting a bit toxic. People are having so many misunderstandings here and there. And so this broadcast I am doing it to let everybody know, particularly those who may not know, what is on ground, what is happening in Edo State. And I'm doing it, without fear or favor, just stating what the obvious is. And of course, what certain decision, the implication of certain decision that may come, what they may mean, particularly given what is unfolding across the Nigeria political spectrum right now, as we speak. Many of us could easily just, see some video footages making the round, rising from a meeting, of some political leaders in Edo State, where the governor, made, made certain positions clear to the world. And, less than a few hours later, the deputy governor was on Channels television, on the same subject matter. And of course, the deputy governor equally made certain positions very clear. This is Edo State politics we are talking about right now. And personally, based on calls I've received, I have been talking to some leaders on the ground, trying to make sense out of what is happening. And based on what I've gathered, I want to share with our people, what the status quo is at the moment. Edo State PDP, there is no guessing the fact that it's in crisis. We cannot use lipstick to paint it. There is crisis in the PDP. To the extent that even at the world level, because of this matter, there is so much confusion, even at the world level. I just spoke with was a House of Assembly aspirant in one of the local governments. He was telling me, the level of confusion this whole issue is generating. But let us start it from where we will understand it from. Many of us understand, and we can remember, that the governor of Edo State, Governor Godwin Obaseki, was governor under APC before the last election. And of course, based on the political issues in APC, he was, disqualified from, contesting the second term. And many people did follow the process of how the governor now defected from APC and I went to PDP. There are so many talk about the condition of the governor coming to PDP and all of that, or all the arrangements, all the agreements. Many of us are not privy to the inwinwizing of the agreement that brought the governor from APC to PDP and immediately got the ticket to contest the governorship election under PDP. That's sort of Governor Obaseki. However, all of this happened. They made had an arrangement, and the governor came to the PDP. And as soon as the governor came to the PDP, even before he submitted this, before the election, he made it very clear that as the governor of the PDP, under PDP right now, he becomes the leader of the PDP and all of that. Now, and that is what the constitution of the PDP says. Okay, the governor is the leader of the PDP, okay, as the constitution says. However, shortly after the governor won the election, and, you know, shortly after he was inaugurated for the second term, we began to notice that the house was not entirely together. Now, why? Before the election, the governor came to the PDP. The PDP had their own structure. They had their own executive members. They had their own working structure in place. And when the governor was coming to the PDP, the governor did not come alone. He did not even come with the deputy governor alone. He came with a large number of people from the APC, many of whom too were executive members under the APC. So somebody like Anselm Ojezua was the state APC chairman before he defected to the PDP. And having arrived at the PDP, you know, as you would expect, okay, I think every rational human being would want to push for that. What may be the issue is the process of pushing for that may be the issue. And what the governor pushed for was that I have come with very relevant APC stalwarts into PDP. I am not the governor, and I am the leader of this party. So the governor now instituted, you know, an ideology, you know, born into a committee, you know, if you may, to start a process of harmonization. And many people will hear of harmonization and they may not know what he meant by harmonization. I'm making this broker so that our people, you know, people who listen to us, who depend on us, you know, those of us on social media, you know, for their major source of information as to what is happening politically in Edo State, would understand. Now, harmonization, by the context of what the governor and, of course, his team were pushing for, was that at the world level, at the local government level, at everything level, with all the structures of the PDP they came to meet, they want that some people coming with them from the APC should be absorbed into those structures. Which would mean that if, for example, in a local government, Ward 1, they have certain members that are executive members, the meaning of that is that Ward 1 should now hold a meeting with all the APC members that came with the governor to PDP in Ward 1 to now consider the people they will absorb from the APC that defected with the governor to PDP into the Ward 1 executive. So that it will be, the Ward 1 executive will be a mixture of the already existing PDP members of Edo State and, of course, those that have come from the APC to come and join the PDP. And that should happen across board. At some point, let's not forget that the governor of Edo State delayed appointing commissioners. At some point, he did mention that this harmonization was a determinate factor to his appointment of his commissioners and other political appointees. And before long, we started seeing reports of response from local governments in Edo Central, and later Edo North. And before long, we started getting reports that all other local governments across Edo State, they were doing the harmonization. That means absorbing the new PDP members that came from APC into executive structures, as it were, and all of that. So, all of that, you know, were taking place. Meanwhile, while all these were going on, we could equally observe that, things didn't look very okay between the governor of Edo State and, of course, the chairman of, the South, vice chairman of PDP, that's Dan Obi, a very strong PDP stalwart in Edo State, who is regarded as a very big leader of PDP in Edo State. And things were no longer, didn't look okay and all of that. It was a situation where many people were wondering what exactly, would be happening. Today, the details of why, that relationship, doesn't look strong, people don't really know too much about it. However, it is something that we adduce to politics to the extent that some time ago, it was reported that his own local executive council from his own ward, they had suspended somebody like, what's his name, Chief Dan Obi, and that is a suspension equally led to the suspension of Ogbede Ihama in the Oredo local government and all of that. And so all of this was still part of those, the strain between the governor and, of course, and later it started getting clear that PDP being the head of, Dan Obi being the head of, old PDP in Edo State, is not in tandem with this idea of harmonization, and that he has solidly said that harmonization is not recognized, and that if the new PDP must be absorbed into the working structures of the old PDP, they have to wait till the tenure of the old PDP members already elected elapses. And that will be like, after the next election and all of that. And now, this is a political base that I'm going to enter into right now. Now, if that has to be, it therefore means that the governor, who is the leader of the party, will definitely not have sway when it comes to, appointing, delegates into the next electoral process. Because the structure already existing is a structure that is answerable to Chief Dan Obi. And so for the governor to have his say and have his own people equally as part of the structure, he wanted harmonization. So many people would argue differently and all of these, some people I've heard, like I heard from somebody today who said that harmonization is not, what's it called, constitution as far as PDP constitution is concerned. Another person argued that yes, harmonization will become constitutional because it is a move by the leader of the PDP structure. So everybody, depending on which side you are standing, is, having an argument for his own position. Now, where the matter now has now led to some level of imbroglio that is now leading to everybody beginning to be aware of what is happening, to the extent that some of these members are threatening to leave the PDP, is that the constitution clearly states that every electoral process under the party has to be conducted by the National Working Committee, which means that the delegates that will determine, elections, nominations and all of those things under PDP in those states, will be decided by members of the National Working Committee. And from what we now know, the governor and his team has already made their case known to the National Working Committee, and there has been no response, to the governor and his team, which means that as things stand, until the National Working Committee members come to clear the position, the whole exercise of harmonization will be something like in futility, unless the National Working Committee come to say, yes, this is acceptable. While that is ongoing, the battle of control and influence over what decision, the National Working Committee will stand by, okay, is ongoing. There are those both in Edo State and outside of Edo State that we understand that are strongly with the governor of Edo State. And whether there are those that are strongly with people like Dan Obi. And somebody said, a stalwart told me earlier today that this imbroglio is a fight for the soul of PDP. So long as the status quo remains, which is that, the National Working Committee has not come to affirm that harmonization is accepted, Dan Obi is in control of the delegates in Edo State. Dan Obi is the man who has a say on this matter. And all of this threatens the political existence of those on the side of the governor and the deputy governor. And that is why, the meeting they had, some of the political stalwarts in Edo State, just I think it was yesterday or so, let us listen to excerpt of what the governor had to say, so that we can take it from there. We're actually going to listen to some of what the deputy governor said to Channels Television and all of that. And I'm going to marry these things to something happens right now within the Nigeria political spectrum. It's getting interesting. Nobody really can tell where the pendulum is going to swing. But I want that everybody, we all follow, we all understand what is happening so far, so good in Edo politics. Take a listen.
Majority. Is it not? The minority in a situation cannot be the ones dictating to the majority. It is not possible.
Now, the argument the governor is making here is like saying that a few persons, okay, as executive members or as, delicate determinants and all of that, will not be the ones that will determine the fate of what the majority should decide, as it were, and all of that. All of this boils down to this whole issue. But let's take a listen
for
that.
We're not even talking about a major minority here. Now, we have said, whatever the issues, come to the table and talk. Don't play funny games behind. I heard that Chief Danobi went somewhere and was telling people that, as far as, I hope it's not the correct information, that there was no harmonization in Edo State, or whatever was done as harmonization should be ignored. If he made such a statement, it is rather unfortunate, because it is quite irresponsible and an insult to all of you here.
Now, this statement by the governor about Dan Obi, okay, further establishes that, things are not rising well between the two parties. The executive governor and Chief Dan Obi, who is a political stalwart, vice chairman, South of the PDP, and a political leader in Edo State. But let's take a listen further and try to make it clearer to all.
You met countless nights, spent sleepless nights trying to bring people together, and somebody comes and says what you did does not matter and is irrelevant. Who does that today? PDP belongs to all of us. I am not going to leave PDP for anybody. Anybody who cannot accept my leadership of PDP in Edo State will leave PDP for us. It's as simple as that.
So when you look at it, the issue of accepting the governor as the leader of PDP is a major cross in this matter. And so there's already the threat by some of the people who came from APC to move somewhere. And one of the leaders of that threat is the deputy governor of Edo State. That's talking of Philip Shuaibu. Now, let us take a listen to, the interviews Philip Shuaibu granted, Philip Shuaibu granted to Channels Television. And so we can begin to put some of these things in proper perspective as they are. Let's take a listen.
You want me to say yes or no? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for me, as Philip Shuaibu, I have no plans now to leave. But for Philip Shuaibu and his followers, and the followers of Obaseki, that led APC to PDP, then all plans to leave PDP. But to where, for now, I don't know. Why? Because we feel not accepted in PDP. And that is the reason why we are actually thinking that it is time to just throw the curtain and leave. But the truth is, the governor has been appealing, and you can see from the yesterday meeting, and some of us were not happy with the governor's statement, saying that it's not leaving PDP. So for some of us, we felt we left APC because...
Now, when Felix Shaibu said that some of us were not happy with the governor's statement when he said he was not leaving PDP, I cringed. I was interested to know what he wanted to say next. Remember, I'm only trying to put these things in perspective the best way I understand it. But let's take a listen further.
Not because we wanted to join PDP. We left APC because of the oppression that APC national chairman netted on the government. And for some of us that hate oppression, we decided to jettison our relationship, even with the Godfather then and another person, to follow the governor to PDP, that the leadership asked that the governor should go. Having escorted him there, we have not been accepted into...
Take note of one word. Haven't escorted him there. You know, these things are very... Having escorted the governor to PDP, okay, we are not still not accepted in PDP. That is Deputy Governor Felix Shaibu. But I will try to expatiate on some of those things and all of that.
And for us, we are not telling the government it's either now or we leave. And
Deputy Mr. Shaibu, let me ask you. Governor Obaseki has been your principal, and you've been working with him for 5 years or so now. Is it possible, because these are some of the issues that people have raised, there's a possibility that you leave in the PDP and move to another party? So is it possible that we see a Governor Obaseki in the PDP and a Felix Shaibu, who is the deputy governor, in another political party? Is that possibility? Because the governor said, obviously, that he's not leaving. And you have said repeatedly that you are not at home in the PDP because you feel that you have not been accepted and you have not been properly welcomed.
We followed the governor because of oppression, like I said. And we escorted him not because some of us wanted to join PDP. And we are in PDP now, and we expect that we will be integrated. And when I say we, not just Felix Shaibu, I'm talking about Aslen Jesua and the State Working Committee, the World Chairman and the Executive, the leaders of APC then, and all.
Anyway, his gist, they were just around this subject. You know, what caught my attention was that they never wanted to leave APC. Himself and many others escorted the governor to PDP. And what that meant to me, if I escort somebody somewhere, I definitely am going back. You understand? Escort not be to come stay. That's what that read to me, except that the context of usage by the governor is different from what I'm explaining right now. But that is what it portends to me. You know, or maybe we escorted him to see if it will work. If it doesn't work, well, this is exactly what is happening right now. Okay. But basically, like I tried to establish earlier, the whole problem that is happening right now is a battle for the soul of PDP in Edo State, particularly given that elections are coming up now very shortly. We're going to be having the House of Assembly elections. We expect to be having the local government elections. But the organic matter of them all is that early in 2023, we expect to have a presidential election, a national assembly election. And all of these things are major determinants, you know. And so this structure that is being battled for right now in Edo State will determine, okay, who holds sway, who has the majority to command and control who becomes who in the next election. Now, the reason why I have come out to try to analyze these things for a couple of reasons. One, to make some of our teamy followers, people who, there are people who have called to say, man, look, we depend on you guys to let us know what is happening, to understand what is happening. The second aspect is that I strongly believe that governance must be about the people's interest first. If it is not the people's interests, then there is a problem. And what you see right now, I can tell you for sure, for all the parties involved, okay, the interest of the common man is not at play right here. What you are seeing is power play. And if power play becomes, that is my concern as a human being. When power play in a political environment like this, okay, has the propensity and the capacity to probably affect governance, it becomes a matter of even bigger concern for many of us. People in the political space right now are listening. Probably the governor himself will hear what I'm saying right now. All we are seeing, all the political jingoism and barakboism and imwimism can go on. But let us try to keep protecting the interest of the common people of Edo State. Because at the end of the day, okay, this is why some of us are preaching seriously that our young people, let's get involved in this process and be part of the determinants and be part of the determining factor, in all of this process. Because Danobi is a major stakeholder in this matter. The governor at one point in his speech said and advised that for those who are outside of Edo State and they are trying to influence groups in Edo State to destabilize the process, he's warning them to stay clear from Edo State. That's another branch to the matter. And I will talk about it. And that branch is that people like the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, has serious interest in Edo State politics. As a matter of fact, there are reports that suggest that Nyesom Wike is the godfather of Chief Dan Obi. And therefore, whatever Dan Obi does politically in Edo State, it takes a lot of orders from Nyesom Wike and some other people at the federal level and all of that. And so therefore, the interest of Nyesom Wike in Edo State is very high. And some, small reports have suggested too that because of this so political imbroglio, Nyesom Wike of Rivers State and Governor Obaseki, they are not so much in, on the same table. They are not so much in good political terms, as it were. And so, when governor was referring to those outside and influence group in Edo State, given what we have heard about Nyesom Wike and the governor of Edo State, it is quite easy for us to suggest, and I'm not saying that is it, that maybe the reference of the governor may just be to people like Nyesom Wike, who is alleged by sources to be very much, behind somebody like Chief Dan Obi and all of that. And again, even at that level, things are a bit really, the way they are, taking some very, very difficult shape, even on the national level, because we understand, if what we see in the media is going to go by, that Nyesom Wike and even Omanare, what's it called, the Atiku, may have, fallen out politically because of some statement made by Atiku, recently and all of that. See? So the issue of presidential ticket is on one side. Everybody's pitching tents. People are trying to undo themselves at various state level to ensure that they hold sway, they control what happens at the federal level. And therefore, the National Working Committee of the PDP have a lot now to chew on based on what is happening right now in Edo State and, of course, outside of Edo State. Now, let me bring us to a permutation that may be a risk factor to anybody elected in the PDP in Edo, other PDP in Edo State, wanting to leave the PDP as threatened by, the Deputy Governor of Edo State, Comrade Philip Shuaibu. Now, report coming out from yesterday is telling us right now as we speak that the Federal High Court in Abuja yesterday, okay, dethroned the governor and the deputy governor of Edo State and 16 lawmakers. Why? The court asked them to vacate their seats. Why? Because the governor, the deputy, and 16 lawmakers elected under the platform of PDP defected not too long ago to APC. And PDP now went to court to challenge the defection, to pray the court that having defected, they must therefore vacate their seats. And the majesty of the court has granted their prayers. And the court has said that political elections, people vote for parties and not for individuals. And so if you have been elected under PDP, the vote you got under PDP was a vote for PDP, not a vote for the governor and the deputy. And so if you leave PDP, you should vacate your seat. I expect that matter is going to go as far as to the Supreme Court. Okay? I expect that. But if the decision of the Federal High Court is upheld at, just 1 second now. Hello? Okay, I'll take note of that. So, if like, oh my God, if I think it's going to go to the appeal court and the Supreme Court, but if the position of the Federal High Court, I think it's a reasonable position, because the immorality of political leaders, cross-carpeting anyhow, having been elected, is too much. I think this may further deepen democracy. But if the position of the Federal High Court is upheld at the level of the appeal court, and is further upheld, at the level of the Supreme Court, it therefore means that everybody elected under one particular platform, looking forward to leaving because it's not convenient, should not have a rethink. Because the Supreme Court is a muboyone. It therefore means that there's probably, a need to call people like Ayade of Cross River to say, you have left, you should not vacate your seat, let us put somebody else there under the political party you were before. So all of these things will eventually come to play their own roles. Now, I have discussed this matter not as a supporter of anybody, but to place, the facts of what is happening on the ground as much as we don't know. We are still trying to deep our own investigation into knowing a lot of the Inwizi and the Ozinyamotos in the whole matter. It's a matter that is ongoing. Nobody can tell you exactly what the next level is going to be, what is going to happen in the next level, the next level. Meanwhile, we understand that on Thursday, the national chairman of PDP will be coming to Edo State to resolve this issue, hopefully. Probably after that time, we may have cause to talk again. But for our own, supporters who are looking up to us for information, this is what is going on right now. The battle is not in the immediate common interests of the common man in Edo State. The battle is a battle, of ownership of the structures of PDP to determine who becomes who under PDP in coming elections. That is what we are seeing. Harmonization on the part of the governor must stand. Harmonization cannot stand on the part of Chief Dan Obi. The deputy governor of Edo State says if it is not standing, we are leaving. Again, we are not shy to say that from sources here and there, people like the deputy governor of Edo State may be nursing the ambition for a further political career, probably running for the next governor of Edo State. All that is equally flying around. So which is why the interest of everybody must be very high on this matter. And of course, we are not shy to say that Chief Dan Obi wants to keep the structure the way it is so that he can fully determine who becomes the next governor of Edo State under PDP. and somebody that will be answerable directly to him, as it were. All that is in the air. All of these are unconfirmed reports, but they are there. They are there. So at the end of the day, if all of these are, if they are anything to go by, what you are seeing, for me, okay, it's not in the interest of the generality of the people. It is politicians fighting to hold control of the political process in Edo State. And that is leading to what we see and what we can determine, what we can say is crisis under PDP. Matters arising. My name is Comrade Lamtek Mawosa Oriahi. Be sure we are going to stay on top of these, and every step of the way, we will try to let you know what is happening. God bless you. God bless Edo State.
I beg, help us share this video and let us know what you think for comment section. If you never subscribe to Dan ARG YouTube, try make you subscribe so that make you for the hear all the things where they happen for Nigeria. Make I leave you now with this video, make you help us share it. Thank you for watching Dan ARG YouTube.